everyone! Welcome to another episode of Think and Be Better, Inner Journeys. I'm Megan.
And I'm Chris. We're excited to have you join us today for what I think will be a really transformative conversation.
Absolutely! Today we're diving into something that honestly affects all of us at some point in our lives. The power of stepping outside your comfort zone. And Chris, I know this is something you're passionate about.
Yes, it truly is. This topic is something I've been studying and experiencing firsthand for years. The comfort zone is this psychological state where we feel safe, in control, and experience low anxiety. But the magic, the real growth, happens when we step beyond those familiar boundaries.
So, what actually happens to us when we stay in our comfort zones for too long? Is it really that bad?
That's a good question. Our comfort zones aren't inherently bad. They serve a purpose. They're places of mental security. But when we stay there too long, we start to stagnate. Our brains love routine because it's efficient and predictable. The problem is that this predictability can lead to something called cognitive rigidity over time.
Cognitive rigidity? That sounds serious. What does that mean exactly?
It's essentially when our thinking becomes inflexible. We get stuck in the same thought patterns and responses. Research shows that this mental rigidity is linked to increased anxiety when facing new situations. It's like your brain's muscles getting weaker from lack of use.
That makes sense. I've definitely felt that before. When I haven't done something challenging in a while, even small obstacles start to feel overwhelming.
Exactly. And the irony is that many people avoid stepping outside their comfort zone because they're afraid of anxiety. But staying in that zone actually makes you more susceptible to anxiety in the long run. It's a bit of a paradox.
So, what happens in our brains when we do challenge ourselves and step outside those comfortable boundaries?
This is where it gets fascinating. When we push ourselves into what psychologists call the optimal anxiety zone, that space just beyond our comfort but not into panic, our brains release a cocktail of neurochemicals, dopamine, which motivates us to achieve, and norepinephrine, which heightens our focus and attention. Together, they create a state of heightened engagement.
And that's a good thing, right?
Absolutely. This neurochemical response is your brain rewiring itself. It's creating new neural pathways, literally expanding your capacity. Each time you face a challenge and overcome it, these pathways get stronger, making it easier to face similar challenges in the future.
This all sounds amazing in theory, but I know for our listeners, and honestly for me too, the actual act of stepping outside that comfort zone can be terrifying. How do we start?
The key is to start small. Think of it like building muscle. You wouldn't walk into a gym for the first time and try to lift the heaviest weight. You'd hurt yourself. The same goes for psychological challenges.
Can you give us some concrete examples of what starting small might look like?
Of course. If you're socially anxious, maybe don't start by giving a TED Talk. Start by speaking up once during a meeting or having a conversation with one new person at a social event. If you're afraid of heights, don't go skydiving right away. Maybe start by going up one floor in a glass elevator.
That makes so much more sense than just throwing yourself into the deep end.
Indeed, and here's a framework I love to share with people, the 10% stretching rule. Each week, push yourself just 10% beyond what feels comfortable. This incremental approach builds confidence without triggering that overwhelming fight-or-flight response.
I love that. It feels doable. Can you talk a bit about the actual benefits people might see when they start this practice?
The benefits are profound and wide-ranging. First, there's increased resilience. Your ability to bounce back from setbacks improves dramatically. Second, creative thinking expands because you're exposing yourself to new situations and perspectives. Third, your self-efficacy, your belief in your own abilities, grows with each small victory.
I've definitely experienced that boost in confidence after doing something that scared me. It's like once you prove to yourself you can handle one scary thing, other challenges don't seem as intimidating.
That's precisely it. And there's a beautiful ripple effect that happens. Success in one area of challenge tends to spill over into other areas of your life. Someone who pushes through their fear of public speaking might suddenly find they're more willing to try new foods or travel to unfamiliar places.
So, beyond the small steps approach, are there other strategies that can help make this process easier?
Yes, several. One powerful approach is something I call reframing the discomfort. Instead of seeing anxiety as a red flag saying stop, try viewing it as a signal that you're growing. That nervousness you feel isn't warning you of danger. It's the sensation of expansion.
That's such a mindset shift. Like, the The butterflies in your stomach aren't there because something's wrong, but because something important is happening.
Exactly. Another strategy is the 5 seconds of courage technique. Many times the hardest part is just starting. So give yourself permission to be brave for just 5 seconds, long enough to raise your hand, send that email, or make that phone call. Once you're in motion, momentum often carries you forward.
I'm curious, Chris. What about when people try stepping outside their comfort zone and it doesn't go well? Like they face rejection or failure? That's always been my biggest fear.
An important point. Failures and setbacks are integral to the growth process. When we step outside our comfort zone, we're not aiming for perfect performance. We're building resilience and learning. Every failure provides data that helps you adjust your approach for next time.
So it's less about succeeding every time and more about the growth that comes from trying?
Absolutely. And this is where having a growth mindset becomes crucial. People with a growth mindset see challenges and failures as opportunities to learn rather than reflections of their fixed abilities. They say, "I can't do this yet," instead of "I can't do this."
That little word "yet" is so powerful, isn't it?
It truly is transformative. Research by Carol Dweck at Stanford has shown that simply adopting this mindset leads to greater achievement and persistence over time. It's remarkable how much our beliefs about our own capabilities shape what we're actually able to accomplish.
As we start to wrap up this episode of Think and Be Better, I'm wondering if you have any final thoughts or maybe a challenge for our listeners.
Yes, I'd like to offer a simple challenge. This week, identify one small area where you've been playing it safe. Just one. Then apply the 10% stretch rule. Push just slightly beyond what feels comfortable. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting, trying a new workout class, or having a difficult conversation you've been avoiding.
And I'm guessing the key is to actually notice how you feel after doing it.
Exactly. Take a moment to recognize the accomplishment, no matter how small it seems. Each step builds momentum. Remember, comfort zones are meant to be comfortable, but life begins at the edge of them. And that's what Think and Be Better is all about. Those small steps that lead to meaningful inner journeys.
This has been so insightful, Chris. I know I'm definitely inspired to push my own boundaries a bit this week.
I'm glad to hear that, Megan. And I hope our listeners feel the same way. Remember, growth happens through discomfort, not despite it.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Think and Be Better, Inner Journeys. Thanks so much for joining us as we explore the transformative power of stepping outside your comfort zone.
And we'd love to hear about your experiences. Share your comfort zone challenges with us on social media using the hashtag #ThinkAndBeBetter.
Until next time, I'm Megan.
And I'm Chris, encouraging you to think, grow, and be just a little bit better today than you were yesterday. Thanks for listening.